in the beginning of the season of inclement weather. It came from the sky, born of beak and feather. The seed of a tree fell from its stool and landed nearby a clear water pool. It sprouted and grew with such tremendous vigor that its roots caused the rocks and the mountain to quiver. Its branches reached high and tickled the sky, waved in the wind to the clouds that passed by. When out of the blue a bird came to rest, and finding a home gathered its nest. Wind, rain, and winter passed many times away. Spring always had its victory, summer had its day, and soon Dooplease had a forest with a loft full of bird that sang every morning like a choir we've heard. All the flowers and trees, birds and bees rarefied the land. But it was the end of paradise. It was the beginning of man. Barely alive, wrecked by sea and disease, to a band of survivors fell the Isle of Dooplease. Their foot breached the shore, mutilating the sand, but that doesn't begin to describe what they did with their hand. The oldest and wisest tree that they found was the one they selected to cut to the ground. And the wounds of some birds never did heal, while the flesh of others became their next meal. They drove off the bees when they took all the honey, and they multiplied faster than mosquito or bunny, and with so many mouths that had to be fed, they ate all the green, then ate all the red. By sheer number alone, they taxed the soil, they taxed the land, then taxed each man's toil. And the one that appointed himself as their king, he didn't do much, but he did do one thing. He ate what he would and consumed with such passion that what little remained had to be rationed. And when the island no longer could handle their hoard, they chopped the last tree and gathered aboard. "Sail toward the west," roared the king. "By God's saving grace, we'll deliver ourselves from this desolate place." He took all the young and those able to do, and left just the weak and unable to chew. We don't know what happened. They never returned. The only record was written by the ones that were spurned, and when those few that remained finally gummed the last weed, the wind carried off the last little seed. But the end is never really the end, it's true. It's just part of the process that we have to go through. Because on a bright, clear day in early spring, a vessel arrived, and it was carrying people and creatures of all different breed, and they weren't sick or hungry, and they had their own seed. Dooplease again flourished within the first season, and the bees all came back because now there was reason. And the trees that had been severed down to their roots got over their pain, started sending up shoots. Word soon spread everywhere around that the place that we'd hoped for is the place that we have found. Oh, and they also found that record, written by the ones that had been left behind, and they learned from their lesson and lived more refined. And they promised themselves not to make that mistake, and they learned how to give and what not to take. Balance brought harmony and peace with such ease. God changed his address to the Isle of Dooplease.